Hello, I have got a exciting little job today. So I am off to collect the brand new Audi RSQ8. This is the first RSQ8 in the UK that a customer has bought, and I'm going to go and deliver it to them. So we'll go and find out what the car is like on the way in real world, real traffic, real life, see what it's all about. I'm on my way to Audi now to pick the car up. I'm in another Audi sport product, going to collect it actually. This is the SQ7, so this is probably the most practical of the Audi sport cars. 7-seater, loads of space, huge great big bus of a car, but it's quick. It sounds pretty good for a diesel. This is a diesel powered car. It's a V8, a 4-litre V8. We've actually got, in Premier Sport Solutions, we've actually got a SQ8 for sale as well, which uses the same motor as this. But yeah, I will do a video on that another time. Today is all about the RSQ8, and here it is. Right, here I am then, aboard the Audi RSQ8 for the first time. So I've just been having a look around the car. It's really nice in here. It definitely commands the price tag. So much carbon fibre everywhere. The fit and finish is lovely, as you'd expect. The seats, which I don't know if you can see from where you are really nice quilted with the red stitching in this model. Alcantara steering wheel, RS button. Let's see. Right, let's turn off the AC and let's fire it up for the first time. It sounds good. It sounds very good. Oh, nice. Nice design on the seat belts as well. Red pinstriping on the seat belts. The carbon in here is really nice carbon. It's like a dry carbon. It's like a satin finish to it. It's really nice. And now I am going to take this car off to get window tints because it needs them. And then I think back to Premier Sport Solutions, and then it's going to go out to the customer. So let's go on our first little drive on the first RSQ8 on British roads. Okay, I've just been letting the car warm up a little bit because it's got, well, no miles on the clock. We've now got the full Rev Counter. It was, the red lining was I think at 5 now. It was at 4 or 5, and now it's gone round to 7. I kind of want to put the window down to hear the engine a little bit more, but we'll do that a bit later on because it's pouring with rain right now. Oh, it sounds good. I mean, I'm going to try. Am I going to try and compare it to an Urus? I might. I don't know. As always with any of my little reviews, I have no plan, no clue, not no clue, but no plan of what to say. So yeah, so I don't know how this is going to go, but we're gonna try our best. So let's just throw it out there. This is an extremely similar car to the Lamborghini Urus. Okay, it is as fast as it. It has a very, very, very incredibly very similar engine, if not exactly the same. The dimensions are pretty much the same. The styling is, the shapes are. Come on, it's pretty much the same car. If you think about the Lamborghini Huracan and compare that to the Audi R8, pretty much the same car, right? So they've done the same old trick, which is great for. I was going to say for normal people. It's still a very expensive car, but it's great for people who want that fun, want that enjoyment, but maybe they don't want that Lamborghini badge, because let's face it, it sometimes comes across with a slight side helping of show off. Like, that's not my personal opinion, but that's sometimes you get that impression that that's what people think if you're driving a Lamborghini. And yeah, so this gives you all the fun, all the car, but with a slightly less showy brand, and that's going to suit a lot of people well. But not only does it come with the less showy brand, it also comes with the price tag of, depending on options, around about £100,000 less. That is a lot of money in anyone's book. I don't care if you're a multi-millionaire. 100 grand is a lot of money. So, little stretch of motorway, just wake it up a little bit. Just cruising along now at, well, I'm going 50 miles an hour, but I'm slowly increasing my speed. It is a wet, horrible, miserable, rainy, very, very wet road day. So this is really going to put it through its paces in terms of the four-wheel drive capabilities, the everyday capabilities of British roads. Where I've got to take it actually is part motorway, part little country B roads. So it's quite actually totally unplanned, but it's quite a good little route. So let's talk about the interior of this car a little bit more whilst we're just motorway driving, because there's nothing really to report here. Let's just tell you, it's very comfortable, it's very refined, it's very quiet when you're on a run. I would imagine, I don't know for sure because I didn't look into it, I would imagine that they have used the cylinder shutdown technology, where it's obviously a V8 and they probably kill some of the cylinders when you're just on a motorway cruise to make it more efficient, but you can't tell, so
use the left lane to take the A357
so I don't know if it has or not. It sounds very muscular. It's got that nice V8 low down rumble. So far the impressions are very, very good. I really hope that the sound of the engine is coming across through that camera, because it sounds brilliant. This is a strong car, this is. There's a lot of, sound like Cilla Black. Who? There's a lot of torque in this car. I don't know the figure exactly, but I will look it up and put it here. I don't know what the number is, but I'm telling you, it feels like it's got a lot of torque. So that is what, like, some people don't know what the difference is between torque and horsepower. So torque is the feeling that you get of it pushing you down the road, or pulling you down the road, or whatever, you know, of acceleration, really, mid-gear acceleration. That's what the feeling of torque is. So the more torque it has, the more you'll feel that push back in your seat when you put your foot down. All that, you know, from mid-gear, or from if you're doing 30 to 60 or whatever like that. Horsepower is slightly different. People tend to focus on the horsepower, but horsepower is what keeps you at that speed. So to have a lot of horsepower, anyway, you're bored of this conversation, so am I, but I'll probably get a load of like engineering geeks saying, well, actually, horsepower is measured like this, and this is what... Get in the comments, you know what to do. You like to have a moan, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So, country lane driving. What is this? I nearly said Lamborghini Urus then. What is this RSQ8 like? Well, let's... Okay, so, this is interesting. It must have it does have a mild hybrid system, and this is... I'm feeling it now. So, if you imagine stop-start system in a car, right? So, and you'll hear this term mild hybrid more and more and more and more now, because manufacturers have figured out a way to reduce emissions and basically not cheat, but get round the legislations where you have to have a certain amount of CO2, blah blah blah. So what they've done is created a mild hybrid system, right? So that isn't a hybrid. A hybrid is something like a what's that rubbish thing? Oh, the Toyota. What's that one that's really famous and I can't think of it? The one that's in, like, it's all the Ubers of them in London. Toyota Prius, right? Toyota Prius. That was like the first big hybrid, but now there's like loads of them. So that allows you to drive on electric power if there's some in the tank, or it allows you to drive on petrol or diesel power if there's some in the tank. What a mild hybrid is, it's a petrol engine or it's a diesel engine, but 99% of them coming through now are petrol engines. It's a petrol engine that has what they called mild hybridization, where it's basically like start-stop. You know, like your car's probably got start-stop. A lot of cars have got start-stop. When you arrive at a set of traffic lights, kills the engine, right? And then you set off and it goes again. But mild hybridization is where it does that whilst you're driving along, but you're just cruising. So it knows what sort of road you're driving on, how you're driving it.
Mile at Roundhouse Roundabout, take the third exit onto Poole Road, A350.
How you're driving it, and so let's see if it does it now, because I'm just cruising now, right? I'm driving at 40 miles an hour, 47 miles an hour. It's not going to do it because there's traffic in front. But a minute ago it did do it. I was just cruising, and it basically shuts the engine off and just lets it roll. You don't even notice. You don't notice it's doing it. You only notice it because the Rev Counter drops down to below 1000 RPM. That's what mild hybrids do. This has a mild hybrid system, as will most cars that come out in the next 3, 4, 5 years, and then it's all going to go electric. So it's a sort of interim between things to try and make emissions come down and make things cleaner, which is good, right? Because you don't notice any difference, so you might as well have a cleaner car for not really any trade-off. Really, like, probably the best thing I could say about this car so far, and it probably doesn't sound like a compliment, but it is that it just feels like a car. It feels like a comfortable, quiet, refined, luxurious place to be, which a lot of SUVs feel that way, but none of them have this amount, well, not many of them, has this amount of fury under the bonnet. And it kind of boggles the mind, really, that you can have an engine that's that powerful and a car that's that fast, but you can just drive it like an everyday normal car that you just don't even think about it. You can just jump in it go to the shop, go to the training, go to the gym, go to work, wherever, and it can just be a normal car. But if you get to a bit of de-restricted road, which I handily just have done, you can put it across into manual. You can drop it down a couple of cogs, so it's not going mad because it's a new car and it's not mine. But oh yes, it's quick. It's quick and it's so stable. Like I said earlier, the roads are soaking wet, like soaking wet, and this just it drives through it like you didn't even realise that there was anything on the road. The sound is good. I got to admit, I was a bit worried about the sound because of, again, regulations and new laws and stuff over sound as well as emissions. I was a bit worried that it would sound really quiet and muted, but it doesn't. It sounds really, really good. Well done, Audi. You've nailed it with this car. That's a great job. So I just noticed something, right? So I was coming from the de-restricted area into a 30-mile-an-hour area because we're going through a little village now. And you may have noticed in some cars they have like a little picture saying you can let off the accelerator now and just coast because you don't need to put your foot on the accelerator. Again, trying to save you fuel. But this one, it gives you a little nudge on the pedal. There's a tiny little vibration on the pedal because it could see that I was heading into a 30-mile-an-hour zone. A tiny little nudge on the pedal to say let off and let it coast down to that speed before you enter, so you don't have to use the brakes, you don't have to think really. But again, pretty clever. Just a tiny little thing. That's a really good idea. So I am in dynamic mode at the moment. I picked it up in dynamic mode. Let's put it into what's this? There's an RS mode. Yes. Now this is probably not good for a 30-mile-an-hour limit, but if I can explain to you what's going on. So on my head-up display now, where before I just had the speed and the speed limit, I now have all sorts of information. I now have a Rev Counter. It's really big in front of me. It's huge. A massive Rev Counter. The gear that I'm in, it's gone into sport gearbox. It tells me the speed limit, the engine oil temperature. It's got all of the gubbins up on my screen, my heads up, and my virtual cockpit has changed as well. It went from the map to the Rev Counter. It's got a power and a torque meter. Oh man, I can't wait to get into a little bit of de-restricted area and try this RS mode out. But what I was going to say is let's see what it's like in comfort mode. But you don't need it, to be honest, because this is well comfortable, and this is in the hardcore setting. So whilst we're in 30 miles an hour, okay, let's just go to comfort then, just for the sake of it, just to try it out. So this is a pretty uneven, bumpy road. It's a country lane, 30 mile an hour area. To be honest with you, 30 miles an hour doesn't really feel, comfort mode doesn't really feel a whole lot different. And that's praising the dynamic mode. It would have softened off the suspension, it would have raised the ride height slightly. But yeah, is the engine quieter? I think the engine might be slightly quieter, so that's probably a valve in the exhaust that is closed off. It may also be some wizardry through the speakers. I think it's just exhaust. It sounds like, to my ear, I don't know, but to my ear it sounds like the noise is actually coming from the exhaust, not coming from the speakers. But they might have just got really good at it these days. Anyway, that's enough of comfort mode. And what else have we got? We've got efficiency, we've got all-road, which really jacks the suspension up super high. You've got auto, you've got dynamic, and then you've got the RS1. You've got RS1 and RS2. So I suppose that's a little bit like, and they're configurable, so that's a bit like the M buttons on a BMW. You can have a range of things, but then you can also have on your steering wheel M1, M2, and then you can set different levels of hardcoreness depending on how brave or stupid you're feeling. Oh, I really want this 30-mile-an-hour area to end. Not that I'm going to rag the car or anything, but I just want to see how it feels in RS mode. Let's see what the configurable options are. Basically, it looks like it just whacks everything into dynamic, and then maybe it just gives you different displays. That's probably what it is. Let's put it in it. RS1. That's got to be the best one. Okay, so I have I've opened the sunroof and I've opened the rear windows slightly, just so hopefully you guys can hear a bit of engine sound, because I don't know how well it comes across on camera. You'll just maybe have to trust my opinion on it. But let's see if we can give it a couple of beans out of this corner, out of this roundabout. So, second gear, here we go. Oh yeah, it sounds good. Let's put those rear windows up because it's sounding like a helicopter in here. I'll leave the sunroof partially open. It's on the one of those ones, not retracted.
In a quarter of a mile, at Two Gates roundabout, continue straight to stay on A354.
It sounds great. Here we go, some more noise. God, it grips so well. Like the conditions. I know I keep saying it, but it's important for you to understand how good this car is in these conditions. It really does just fire you along. Okay, so one thing I've noticed in dynamic mode or in RS mode, let me shut that because my head's getting cold. The suspension is quite, well, I don't want to say it's firm because it's not overly firm, but it's quite bouncy. You can feel, you get bounced along a little bit. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but just something to note. Hey, we made it. We are at the window tint in place now, tinted. So yeah, we're going to get the windows done, and it should look even more badass than it currently does. And yeah, let's have a look how we get on. Okay, that is done. We have tinted the car. So thank you to Mike at Tinted, who fitted us in at short notice. Normally he'd come to us to do it, but because of short notice, came out to him. So that's all good. Looks really good. It's subtle. You probably can't tell any difference from where you are because you can still see out perfectly. It's subtle, but we just wanted to sort of balance the dark windows of the factory privacy glass on the back to the perfectly clear on the front. So it was just balancing it, making it look a little bit better, and it's those subtle little touches that can make all the difference sometimes. Right, so I've now got to well, first of all, take this car back to Premier Sports Solutions, take the picture of it leaving there. It's going to get valeted, and then I'm going to take it to our customer, who is probably about 2 hours away. It's just going to be motorway journeys, so you know, that's not very interesting for you to watch. So I think oh yeah, by the way, you know, I was saying about the RS mode, and that on BMWs it's on the steering wheel M1, M2. It is actually on here as well, RS mode on the steering wheel. I didn't even notice, I must be blind. So yeah, that's yeah, I'm probably not going to film the motorway because it's just boring. But yeah, to sum this car up, it is unbelievable for the price tag. It is so good. The performance is outrageous. The comfort is amazing. The practicality of the car is amazing, because don't forget, it's just a Q8 basically. It's based on a Q8, which is a really practical family car. But now you can have that, but have fun as well. So yeah, really good. Crammed full of technology. The screens are amazing. The interior is amazing. The seat's so comfortable. I can't really sing its praises any higher. In fact, you know what? I would give this car a 10 out of 10. For my experience today, obviously you need to really live with them to, you know, really judge them. But in my experience today, in the couple of hours that I've been around this car, it's a 10 out of 10 from me. What more could you possibly want? So much fun, so much speed, so much noise, so much practicality. Can do the quiet stuff, can do the comfy stuff. Is it the ultimate daily driver? Get in the comments below, let me know what you think. What would you prefer? What else is in this category? Well, the Lamborghini Urus is the obvious rival. That's 100 grand more. You've got the Range Rover Sport SVR. That's around the same price. What would you prefer? I'd be interested to know. So let us know down in the comments which car you would have. And yes, until the next video, goodbye.